everyone, Sebastian here from Green Music Productions, and today I am reviewing Smart EQ 3 from Sonible. It is a smart EQ with AI capabilities, so is it really that smart? Let's find out. As usual, if you like that kind of content, click the like button and subscribe. And before we start, let's hear about today's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community where millions come together to take the next step in their creative journey, with thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people on topics including illustration, design, video, freelancing, and obviously music. Whether it's music theory, learning an instrument, music production, even the music business, there's a ton of content on there. There's even specific things like how to make beats, how to design great synth sounds, or even Cubase specific videos. To give you an example, I've been following this class by Will Edwards called Wavetable Sound Design Strategy, and it's really insightful. It gives you a lot of tools to create better synth sounds. Now, most classes are under 60 minutes with short lessons to fit any schedule. And you have access to thousands of classes for less than $10 a month if you take the annual subscription. So I'll leave a link in the description below. The first 1,000 people to use the link will get a free trial of Skillshare Premium membership. Make sure to check it out and keep learning. So I dug out an old mix of mine. I probably mixed that 9 years ago, and it's a folk song. And the reason why I took an old mix is because I know I'm probably not gonna like some mix decisions I've made, so it probably doesn't sound as good. So we'll try to improve it with Smart EQ, but first let's listen to what it sounds like.
Well, I've been telling secrets, I've been telling lies, I've been trying to live like I'm part human, part divine. Friends, and sometimes I pretend cause I feel like this on the inside and I look like that on the outside. And there's the things I put down, and then there's you, and no matter what you'll always be true. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
So there are already a bunch of little things I don't like about that mix, so let's take a look at the mixer. Usually when I mix, I have all of my groups on the right side of the mixer right here. So we have acoustic guitar, double bass, Glockenspiel, vocals, drums, and percussions. So let's put Smart EQ on the acoustic guitar first and see what it can do. Now I noticed that the guitar is a little bit harsh. Yeah, so let's see what it does. So the first thing that I'm gonna try, Smart EQ is actually a full EQ with 24 bands if you want. So you just double click to create a new band. You use the scroll wheel to make the band wider or narrower, and you can move it around just like any other regular EQ. But the bread and butter of that plugin is in the smart capability. So we have presets. So since this is an acoustic guitar, they already made an acoustic guitar preset. If you want to put it on an instrument that's not in the preset, don't worry, there's a universal preset that will work on pretty much anything, even on the whole mix if you want. So that's really cool. But first, let's try the acoustic guitar preset on this one and let's solo it. So the way it works, you have to press that kind of a record button, but it will analyze what you're playing and it will generate a curve that is supposed to improve the sound. So let's try it out right now. Wow, so right off the bat, we see that it boosted quite a bit of the low end of the guitar. I'm not sure I want that much low end for that specific track, but the beautiful thing is, you know, it's a wide band right here, but we can always roll it off if we want. And we can even split it in two bands. So let's say you want some process on the low end, but you don't want it to touch the mid-range. You can always split them and make them work on the bands you want. So that's really cool. Let's try to do that because I think I want to add a little bit of low end, but not as much, but I want to see what it did in the mid-high section. So let's press play again and play with the bands. So you can also reverse it and see what it basically removed. So you see what it detected that wasn't that great. And in this case, it was dead on because we can hear a bunch of harsh resonance. We can always enable the analyzer so we see the curve. Let's bypass it. I already really like what it does. Let's try it just for fun on the double bass. I know there's a bass preset, but let's see what it will do on a double bass. If it's that smart, it should do something fun. So let's try it out. Let's listen to it with the rest of the mix and see how it sounds like.
Part human, part divine.
Without.
And I've given up on friends, and sometimes I pretend because I feel like this on the inside, and I look like that on the outside.
I really like that. It's subtle, but with the rest of the mix, it really helps, especially in the low-mid portion right here. I really like what it did. Let's move on. We have a Glockenspiel group right here, and I know there's no Glockenspiel preset, but let's try either the universal or let's see, we have a keys preset. Maybe let's try the keys preset. Wow, so if we enable the analyzer, yeah, we can see that there are a bunch of really thin frequencies over here, but these are the resonance of the Glockenspiel, so I don't want to tame them too much, but taming them a little bit seemed to help. Wow. I don't think I wanted to boost the lower end that much because there's nothing there. It's basically just rumble. Let's try to put some dynamics to it. So as you can see, you can raise the dynamics up to 100 and it will move around depending on the transient and the different frequencies that are coming in. So that's really useful. Wow, I really like that. Let's listen to it with the rest. Pretty good. As you can see, the processing, the overall processing didn't raise too much, so that's pretty good. Let's take a look at it while I add another Smart EQ 3. You'll see that it's not too angry on the CPU. It barely moved. We saw a little spike there when I added it, but it barely moved, so that's a really good thing. I'm really happy about that. I have some pretty CPU heavy plugins, but this is not one, so that's always good. Now on the lead vocals, obviously there's a vocal preset, but there's vocal high and vocal low. So since it's a female vocal, let's try vocal high, solo it, let it work its magic.
I pretend because I feel like this on the inside, and I look like that on the outside. I pretend because I feel like this on the inside, and I look like that on the outside.
Wow. So it tamed some specific frequencies that were not as pleasant.
I pretend because I feel like this on the inside, and I look like that on the outside.
Wow, yeah. It's a lot more pleasing to the ear. So let's raise some dynamic and make it dynamic just to see what it will do.
I pretend cause I feel like this on the inside and I look like that on the outside. I pretend cause I feel like this on the inside and I look like that on the outside.
I really like that. Let's listen to it with the rest of the mix now.
I pretend cause I feel like this on the inside and I look like that on the outside.
Beautiful. Now we have Smart EQ 3 on 4 tracks on the acoustic guitar, double bass, glockenspiel, and vocals. So let's take a look at the group function. This is really powerful. Let's create a new group called Mix. The name doesn't really matter, but we can see all of the plugins that we have on the different tracks, and we have 3 different layers. So layer 1 would be the most important one, so the one that we want in front. Layer 2 is right in between, and layer 3 is the instrument that we want a bit more in the background. So let's try to put the vocals on layer 1, the double bass maybe on layer 2, guitar acoustic on layer 2 as well, and glockenspiel on layer 3. You can also raise the effect. As you can see, it has an impact on the frequencies. It seems to be targeting specific frequencies for the different instruments. So let's put it to 150 just to really have a good idea of what it's doing, and press play. I'll toggle it on and off. This is only for the group impact, so you'll see what it's doing.
I pretend cause I feel like this on the inside and
Now
I look
off.
like that on the outside. And there's the things I'm
On.
and then there's you. And no matter what, you'll always be true.
Wow, it's beautiful. It really brings the vocals to the front. The glockenspiel is tamed a bit more, so it's in the back. Let's try to bring the glockenspiel to layer 2 just to see what it will do.
I pretend cause I feel like this on the inside and I look like that on the outside.
Off.
And there's the things I'm
On.
and then there's you. And no matter what,
Wow, I really like that. 150 might be a bit too much, but let's dial it down to 100. And let's try to bring them all on the same layer to see how it will handle it. If they're all as important in the mix, let's see how it will deal with it.
I pretend cause I feel like this on the inside and I look like that on the outside.
Off.
And there's the things I'm and then there's
On.
you. And no matter what, you'll always be true.
Yeah, I really feel like the vocals should be in front, so let's bring everything back to layer 2, but I really like what it's doing. Now let's try to have everything on and bypass all the plugins at once. There's a feature right here to bypass all of the smart EQs on every single tracks. So let's try first on, then I'll bypass it and I'll toggle it on and off.
I pretend cause I feel like this on the inside and I look like that
Bypass.
on the outside. And there's the things I'm and then there's you. And no matter what, you'll always be true. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Wow, I really like what it's doing. It makes everything fall into the place it should be. It rounds up the harsh frequencies of the glockenspiel and the acoustic guitar. It brings the vocals back to the front. This is beautiful. Like, I really like that because you save a lot of time and you see how complex those EQ curves are. I wouldn't like to do all those tiny bands to try to improve it. So I really like plugins like that that are super easy to use but super complex under the hood, and they help you get good results super fast. And as you could see, this was a finished mix, and I just put it at the end of the inserts for all the group tracks. and it did a really good job. So let me know in the comments section if you like that kind of AI into your plugins, you know, smart EQs and things like that. I know there's Golfos as well who does a similar kind of thing. The only thing I would really like to have in that plugin for it to be basically the ultimate parametric EQ would be to be able to have dynamics on the single bands that you create, because maybe I'm wrong, but I couldn't find the dynamic option on the single bands. It's only on the smart band. You can have up to 24 bands if you want, so that's really powerful. And another feature I would like to see, it is in FabFilter Pro Q, is an EQ match. So for example, let's say you recorded some voiceovers. Some of them were with a lavalier mic, and you did some ADR with a condenser mic in the studio. Obviously, both mics will sound completely opposite. So I use usually FabFilter Pro Q to match the curves, and it will match them really accurately. So if you like that kind of content, give me a like and subscribe. And as usual, I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.